What the ever-living heck is MJ-12? Introduction by Emrys Brooker. Lucas knows he is being followed. He clutches the file closer to his body. It's like a bomb vest. He can almost feel the timer tick against his skin. What he squeezed against his chest, like a drunk with a bottle of Kentucky's finest, could and would most likely kill him. But what else is there to do? People should know, shouldn't they? It will change everything. Decades of slaughtering each other in war after war, and this entire time there was a real threat literally above their heads. He knew the content of the file would help reunite humanity, give everyone a new enemy. The old adage is true after all. We are not alone. It was insulting at first, when they pulled him from active duty and gave him a new assignment at the CIA. He was sure they made a mistake or he really pissed off the big wigs. It took all his willpower not to laugh in his superior's face when he explained he was going to be a glorified secretary for a group of nut jobs and freaks hiding down in the bowels of the Pentagon. Safe to say he left that meeting wondering who he had pissed off and what the ever-living fuck MJ-12 was. Turns out he was wrong. Not about the group being nut jobs and freaks, but his job was a lot worse than being a secretary. He was now part of the circus. A clown in a monkey suit, carrying a badge and a gun, and he was surprised they let him keep his gun. Weren't they worried that after a week in the loony pit, he would shoot his coworkers and then himself? His supervisor was an old-world cloak-and-dagger spook named Warren. Upon meeting Warren, Lucas knew immediately that if he was on fire, Warren was as likely to throw more gasoline on the flames than take a piss to put out the blaze. Real friendly, that one. His other coworker was a green at the gills, fresh from his mother's womb nutter named Davy. He believed that the president was a lizard in disguise and was a subscriber to every magazine that followed stories like, "I gave birth to a sea monster," or "Crop circles. What are the aliens trying to tell us?" Lucas was told that there were others in the department, but he was designated to his place and ordered not to question it. His job, if you can call it that, was to drive around the country with Davy, while he jumped up and down in the passenger's seat like a hyperactive kid. Stopping off occasionally to investigate, get this, UFO sightings. If there was a more apt time to coin the phrase, "fuck me," Lucas believed it was the moment he found out what MJ-12 was. For some reason, the government had decided to take the threat of extraterrestrials seriously and created a task force in the CIA to look into it. Lucas thought it was all a steaming pile of shit to keep the hippies happy and waste taxpayers' money. When he wasn't traipsing his way across country talking to Davy's brand of crazies, listening to one inane, unbelievable, balls-to-the-wall insane story after another, with a face that screamed he was regretting each and every one of his life choices. You could find Lucas in the maze, a cute nickname for the file storage room, which, as the name suggests, was a massive warehouse designed like a labyrinth to purposely fuck with your head. As if the contents of the files didn't do that enough. Seriously, why did they let him keep his gun? Anyway, the file room, arguably where it all went wrong. If only he didn't find that file. It was odd from the start, a White House report from a couple years back, November 1952, settled onto a shelf between what Lucas thought was the usual bullshit of case reports and eyewitness testimonies, talking about how people saw and/or were probed by aliens. There was a worrying number of those. It wasn't the first report like this he had ever seen. All departments were required to write debriefs of their activities to send to the White House. What was odd about the file was that it was plastered with warnings not to read it, talked about threats to national security and such. Well, suffice to say, Lucas's interest was piqued. What's the worst that can happen? It was buried all the way in the back of the archive. Then Lucas started reading. The first page talked about a local rancher reporting a large disc-shaped object crashing in a remote region of New Mexico. It went on to report 4 human-like beings ejecting from the object prior to the crash, and that these beings' bodies were taken for scientific research. See Attachment C. Attachment C was an autopsy report. Whatever they found, it wasn't human. There were illustrations and diagrams, comparisons to human biology and physiology, blood work and tissue sample results. Even a goddamned photo of the thing all cut open. Lanky, sinewy muscles, large black orbs of lifeless eyes, slit like nose, blue blood, and more organs than should fit into its emaciated body. The thing was a freak of nature ripped straight out of a schizo's fever dream. In short, Lucas was holding proof. More accurately, he was white-knuckling proof while he tried not to hyperventilate. Aliens are real, repeating over and over again in his head. Then suddenly he was pissed. How dare they? How dare they let us kill each other when this being with bone density that would allow it to punch through 10-inch steel or snap a neck with ease, who had the power to travel the fricking universe, was hovering above Earth. All the while, humanity remained oblivious. Lucas was pissed he spent months listening to people talk about aliens thinking they were crazy. He should have been preparing. They all should be preparing. He had to tell someone, or humanity is fucked. And with that cheerful thought, Lucas made a decision that more than likely would be the death of him. He took the file, securing it in his waistband, tucking it under his shirt, covered it with his suit jacket, and prayed to God that he didn't look suspicious. His hands shook as he pulled the maze's door open. He had a few minutes of work left. Would it be suspect if he left early? What if he bumped into Davy or worse, Warren? What if someone notices the file missing? He was the last one in there. How would he explain that? How the hell is he going to get this file out there without being prosecuted, murdered, or sent to a black site? Lucas walked through the Pentagon, aware of every single step. The file rubbing against his torso, the paperclip scratching his skin with every movement. The thing felt like a lead weight. He nodded to people on his way out. That wasn't weird, right? He always did that. He just had to keep his head down and get out. Get out. Get out. It was fine. He was fine. Aliens were real. He had a photo of a dead one stuffed down his pants. It was fine.
Please like, subscribe, and share for the next chapter. And I would love to hear any feedback you have in the comments below.